Alright, so today we are at the Tye-Dyed iguana, and while it may look absolutely gorgeous outside, it's officially fall now, so with the fall comes the cooler weather. And when that cooler weather hits, that means your house is going to get cooler, and therefore your animals' tanks will be getting cooler as well. So with it being cooler here in our part of the USA, and probably many different parts of the USA, we thought it'd be a good chance to talk about the different signs that your pet reptile might be too cold, and a good way to check the temperatures and make sure that you get their heating adjusted for the fall season. Now, one of the first signs that a reptile might be getting too cold is if it slows down its eating. Now, we've noticed this with several of our lizards already in the warehouse, actually, not so much in the front of the shop. But once that cooler weather rolls in, their metabolism starts to slow down and they won't eat as much. Now, I know our forest armadillo lizards, they're really good eaters. One of them's really chunky. So if they were to suddenly stop eating altogether and we didn't notice them eat very much at all, we would be more inclined to think that their temperature was lower than it needs to be. So we would definitely check the hot spot. Yeah, because you guys love to eat. Yes, you do. Especially this one over here. He's a little chunk, aren't ya? Yes, you are. Yeah, without that heat, if they don't have it hot enough, they can't digest their food right. So that is the main reason why these guys slow down their eating when it's cooler, for sure. But when I talk about slowing down their eating, I have to mention the animals that usually slow down in the winter anyway, like in the cooler weather. Even if their hot spot is at the optimum temperature, nice and warm, you'll still get snakes that go on like month-long breaks of not eating at all. Oh my goodness, what a yawn. You don't see it so much in babies like these. They should usually keep their regular feeding schedule. But in adults, they will sometimes slow down and stop eating during the fall and winter months and not start back up again until spring. That is perfectly normal for a snake as long as it's not losing weight. You just want to keep track of their weight and everything. If they start losing weight, then that could be a sign of something happening, something else happening or going on, or them being too cool and they need that heat back up. And of course, after talking about snakes not wanting to eat for a while, we gotta talk about lizards and brumation. There's some lizards, especially some of our bearded dragons here, that will actually kind of hunker down when it gets cooler, like during late fall and winter, where they'll we have some that just sleep in their log like the whole time and hardly ever come out, and they just sleep and everything and don't eat very much. So that is called brumation, and we've done a couple of videos on brumation already, so you'll have to go check those out. But that's also normal, and it happens whether it's hot or not. They will do it even if you got their hot spot at the perfect temperature. Some of them, it's just an innate thing that they do, and they don't lose weight during that. If you notice your bearded dragons start to lose a lot of weight, then I would go ahead and get them checked out and check their temperatures, because they shouldn't be. Danielle.
Yeah?
I bet you can tell us one of the ways that you can tell a reptile is too cold. Like, what would indicate that?
Lethargic, just not moving much because it's reserving energy. Not as
active.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same as lethargic.
I know. Now, as Danielle said, if you see your reptile not being as active as they usually are, acting really lethargic, going to sleep all day, that is another sign that they might be too cold, especially if the house temperature is changing. For example, this little girl, she loves to be active. She runs around her tank all day, and yeah, she's very on the move. So if we were to notice her just trying to sit in her hot spot all day and being lethargic or not wanting to be as active as usual, we would definitely check the temperature of her tank, because that is unusual for her. She's usually very active, as you can see. And with snakes, that's a little harder to tell because they're not active most of the day anyway. They usually only come out at night, so it's not a really good teller for them. But definitely for your lizards, tortoises, and other reptiles, that's a good thing to look out for. Jenny,
Yeah.
I bet you can name, besides being lethargic, what's another sign that an animal is too cold, a reptile's too cold?
Darkening of the color or muting of colors.
Now, as Jenny said, another way you can tell if they're too cold is by an extreme darkening of their skin color due to a stressor in their environment. Now, chameleons are a little different. They can change color a lot quicker than a bearded dragon can, and they will actually darken their skin color to absorb heat. This guy's got a ceramic heat emitter on right now, and when they darken their skin, it helps them absorb the heat better and the light better, so that usually means that they're basking. But if you were to see one be constantly dark and sitting under their heat lamp all day, then that would be a good sign that they're not getting enough heat and that they are just trying to get as much heat as possible from that darker color. So it's a good idea to check your temperature if you see them start to do that. Right now you can see this guy doing it actually. He's darkened his color a little bit because he is basking right now under his light. So that'll help him absorb the heat and get all nice and warmed up. And this little girl is thinking about escaping. Please don't escape. And then down here you see one of our bearded dragons has a black beard. Sometimes these guys will get black beards when they're stressed out, and their body color can darken too. Right now it's only dark because he's got girls in his tank and he's feeling hormonal. But they will also change color if they're stressed out, and it being too cold can definitely be a reason why it could be stressed out. So color change in your beardy is a good thing to look out for. And talking about staying under the heat lamp all the time, that is yet another sign that your reptile is too cold. For example, if this little guy down here would spend all day sitting in this exact same spot, basking under his light, that would probably mean that he is getting too cold in other parts of his tank, or he's not even getting warm enough in his hot spot. So that's definitely a sign that you want to check that area, and with a temp gun or a thermometer that you place on the hot spot to check to see if the hot spot is at the proper temperature. You'll see that with snakes too a lot of the time. Unlike lizards, they can't really change their color in response to being stressed out. So with them, you gotta look more at their behavior. If they if this pile of snakes stayed under the heat spot all day long and didn't move to this side of the tank at all day, that would probably mean that they're not warm enough if they're constantly trying to heat up in the hot spot.